Given the growing geopolitical tensions, we are forced to take additional measures to ensure the security of Russia and our allies. We are doing this carefully, without getting involved in a full-scale arms race, to the detriment of the socio-economic development of our country. We pay serious attention to improving the combat strength of the armed forces, increasing their capabilities. As part of these tasks, the Leningrad and Moscow military districts, a number of new units and formations have been formed. The full-time strength of the armed forces has been increased to 1.5 million servicemen. The Fleet Army is being re-equipped with modern weapons and equipment at an accelerated pace. For example, the share of such weapons in the strategic nuclear forces has already amounted to 95%. At the same time, we clarified the basic principles of the use of nuclear weapons, which are set out in the updated fundamentals of state policy in the field of nuclear deterrence. And I want to emphasize once again that no one there accuses us of being armed with nuclear weapons. This is a policy of nuclear deterrence. Along with the nuclear triad, general-purpose forces are developing rapidly. The troops are receiving advanced robotic systems, including those using artificial intelligence technologies. Among them are reconnaissance and attack drones, unmanned boats, and multi-purpose robotic platforms. Today, it is important to continue the progressive, systematic development of the Navy's Army, to achieve the goal of a special military operation, to be ready for an operational and effective response to potential security challenges of our country. At the same time, it is necessary to focus on solving the following priority tasks. The first one. Of course, strategic nuclear forces remain one of the key instruments for maintaining stability and protecting Russia's sovereignty and territorial integrity. We will continue to support their potential and balanced development. You see the work on the creation of new systems and complexes of deterrence forces. Along with this, it is important to keep non-strategic nuclear forces in constant combat readiness, to continue the practice of conducting exercises with working out issues of their use. Second, I have already spoken today about the risks associated with the deployment of medium-range missiles by the United States in Europe and the Asia-Pacific region. We will respond to such threats in a comprehensive manner. At the same time, the most important task is to ensure timely detection of the launch of such missiles and their interception. At the same time, it is necessary to debug all issues of mass production and deployment of such domestic shock systems, including hypersonic ones. As you know, the latest powerful weapon of Russia has become the medium-range missile system Oreshnik. In November, in response to attacks on the territory of our country with the use of Western weapons, it was successfully used. A ballistic missile in a nuclear-free hypersonic equipment was used. Serial production of such complexes should be provided in the near future to protect the security of Russia and our allies. And it will certainly be done. The third task. It is necessary to actively implement the experience gained during a special military operation and in the combat training of troops, as well as in the programs of higher military educational institutions. At the same time, it is necessary to improve the methods of conducting military operations, clarify the fundamental statutory documents, increase the level of possession of weapons and equipment, as well as the effectiveness of command and control of troops, especially in tactical and operational tactical units. I would like to emphasize again that talented officers and sergeants who have proved themselves in difficult combat situations should form the basis of the command staff of the armed forces, as well as become teachers of military educational institutions. Fourth, the experience of conducting a special military operation should be fully taken into account when determining priority areas for the development of domestic weapons and equipment, tactics of their use. For example, high-precision weapons systems use new methods of guidance at the final stage of the flight of missiles, which allowed them to be used on complex and fortified objects, and apply it successfully. The noise immunity of the onboard equipment of missile weapons has been significantly increased. New ways of completing flight tasks have been worked out. In the future, you need to calculate them in real time, according to the promptly identified goals. This is an extremely important task for our military-industrial complex, but I will say more about it. Another important innovation was the direct exchange of information between the units directly involved in the special operation and the defense industry organizations. That's what I just mentioned. As a result, for a number of products, the average time to eliminate the identified shortcomings is now 5 to 7 days. But even this is not enough. We need to go even faster. There are positive developments in the organization of repair of equipment, its fine-tuning, taking into account the requirements of the combat situation. But of course, there are problems too. They remain. They need to be solved consistently. And of course, we must continue to do everything necessary to accelerate the introduction of advanced technologies and other innovations in the military sphere. Fifth, in order to preserve the reduction of decision-making time when managing units on the battlefield, an interspecific information exchange system based on mobile devices has been created and has shown its effectiveness. The troops have already delivered over 6,500 such systems. As a result of their application, the time for setting tasks decreased by 1.5 to 2 times. Now, due to the introduction of advanced developments of the defense industry, it is necessary to form a single information circuit as soon as possible, combining means of reconnaissance and destruction at the strategic, operational, and tactical levels of management. Sixth, it is necessary to increase the production of robotic complexes and unmanned systems of various classes and types. At the beginning of the special operation, we had problems in this area. Some samples turned out to be expensive and difficult to operate. Today, several thousand drones of various purposes enter the troops every day. It is necessary to further improve their combat and operational characteristics. It is equally important to train operators of such complexes, to train them according to programs developed based on the experience of real combat operations. And the seventh, we need to continue and further expand military and military technical cooperation with allies and partners, with those who are ready and willing to work with us, and this is the majority of countries in the world. Dear comrades, I have already spoken today about the huge support of the Army and Navy from the Russian society. People understand what we are fighting for, what we are defending, help the frontline soldiers, and join their ranks themselves. An extremely important thing that reflects the state of our society. I'll give you a figure. This year, on average, more than 1,000 people are entering military service under a contract every day. People voluntarily go to the front, and the social guarantees of servicemen and their families should be constantly strengthened and developed. This is the most important systemic task of the state. Yes, a lot has been done in this area in recent years. This year alone, over 55,000 servicemen have been provided with housing. And in the next 3 years, it is planned to allocate another 113 billion rubles for the provision of housing subsidies to military personnel. The accumulative mortgage system demonstrates high efficiency. Over 20 years of its operation, over 202,000 servicemen of the armed forces of the Russian Federation have been provided with housing. I will add that we need to continue to equip military camps, of course, to increase the level of medical support. The priority in the work of all authorities should be the solution of social issues of participants in the special operation. Taking care of the families of the victims, as I said at the beginning, and those who were seriously injured during the fighting. This should be the focus of our attention. It is necessary to delve into the problems of each of our comrades and their families and really help them solve their problems. This is the task of the Ministry of Defense, the task of the government of the Russian Federation, and all leaders at all levels of government. In conclusion, I would like to thank once again all the participants of the special military operation for their valor, courage, and heroism, and wish the personnel and civilian personnel of the armed forces, the leadership of the Ministry of Defense, success in service, difficult responsible work aimed at protecting the sovereignty and national interests of Russia, the security of our region, I am sure that you will continue to adequately solve all the tasks assigned to you. Thank you for your attention.